Alright, so hey guys, it is Javid with Javidos on Lou channel. I'm going to start a new kind of controversial type subject matter on the channel. I hope that I don't get a lot of flack for it. I'm going to keep it G-rated, which means I'm not going to use profanity or cursing. I'm going to try not to vape during my video. But here is a disclosure, I am a vapor. I'm not promoting vaping on my channel. I am simply exercising my rights as a human and an adult, and I'm obviously of age to vape. So I'm going to vape during my video. If that offends you, then don't watch it. Okay, and don't let your kids watch it. But I think it's part of the subject matter that I'm going to be talking about tonight. The video is probably going to run about an hour long. I don't know how long. This is a new video for me. It is going to be, like I said, it is going to be a controversial subject, so if you're triggered easily by political subjects or religious subjects or things like that, I would suggest that you not watch my video. Okay? So, I've always just made videos about gaming, MMOs, psychology videos, things like that. So I think that this kind of fits along with my psychology videos. I think that it kind of fits in with that. I'm also a native Texan, which means I was born in Texas. My folks took me, or my mother's side, who was all that I had as a parent, was my mother. So around 2 years old, my father passed, and my mother took me back to her grandparents' origin country, which was Ossetia. It was former USSR at that time. We were there until I was around 10 and a half, 11 years old, and then we came back to the United States under duress. So understand that we came via Italy back to the United States at that time because Ossetia was gaining its independence. A lot of countries in that area were going for their independence. The Iron Curtain was falling. This is in the early 90s. Mid-90s is when we left, around 94, 96, somewhere in those areas. I don't remember a lot about it. I remember growing up there, and I remember it being a beautiful country. There was a lot of things that I grew up with that when we came back to the United States, I didn't have a lot of recollection of the United States. I had just been, with my mom's side, they're Italian-American immigrants that have a history of Ossetian lineage. So they went to Italy 100 years ago, maybe 120 years ago. They started immigrating to Italy, and then from Italy came into the United States in the 40s and 50s. My great-great-grandfather came in the early 1900s, like 1890s, to a small city in Texas, Malakoff, Texas, which was formed by Russian saw lumberjacks, and they established a sawmill in Malakoff, Texas. The word Malakoff is a Russian word meaning fallen angel. It is a type of, it is a language. Malakoff is a Russian word. So anyway, we go on and on about that. So that gives you kind of a perspective as to where I'll be coming from on this subject. I was brought up with very traditional, very strict religious background. They're mostly Orthodox Catholics. There are lineages of Ashkenazi Jew, but they're Messianic Jews, which means they worship Christ and always have. They're part of that tribe that was cast out from the original tribe of Judea because they believed, and we believe, that Jesus is the Messiah, and that when he came, he did come as a messenger of God. So that's the difference between Ashkenazi Jews and Messianic Jews and the original tribe of Judea, which are the Zionists and the ones who believe that the Messiah is still yet to come, and that Israel is their promised land, which we do understand their perspective, but we don't believe in that. Ashkenazi Jews were cast out of Israel and sent abroad and really disowned by the original tribe because they did believe that Jesus was the Messiah. And so that's why we probably became Roman Catholic, Orthodox Roman Catholics in Russia, because of that. Anyway, long story short, there was something that came out in Texas the other day that really floored me. I just read about it today, so I'm going to write a little bit on my weekly agenda so we know what we're going to be talking about in this series of talks. Texas had, and I didn't even know that this was a subject that was happening in Texas, and so it kind of floored me. The reason it's personal to me is because I identify as asexual, and for some reason asexuals have been wrapped into LGBTQ community. So it's now, as you know, the LGBTQIA community. I don't agree with that. I take issue with that because I do not believe that asexuals are in any way related to the LGBTQ community. And the reason I say that is because my traditional values of, if I were to find a female partner and get married and fall in love and have children, that would be my direction. So I don't know how that was decided. I don't know how asexual people got lumped in with LGBTQ. Because asexuals are not intersex, they're not gay, they're not bisexual, they don't fall into any of those groups. Some do, but that's still an exception to the rule. It's just like any other demographic. For the most part, asexuals are heterosexual if they were to have a preference, or if they were to have a mate or a significant other, it would probably be the opposite sex, and they would have children with them. So I'm trying to understand why we have been lumped into that group. It's not an alternative way of life, because if you think about it, asexuality is not an alternative way of sexuality. It is non-sexuality. So it is not having any interest whatsoever in that subject or in that practice. So how do you put us in with a group that's all they're about? All they're about is having sex with the same sex, or having some kind of societal norms opposite or deviant behavior. How do you lump asexuals into that group? I take issue with that. So also that leads me to the next subject of Native Texans saying that are female impersonators, saying that they should have the freedom to perform as the opposite gender that they are and portray the opposite sex that they were born to biologically, and that they should be able to do that openly in public, no matter what the audience. I take issue with that too. So that's my subject tonight, is that why are more and more these days, why are we hearing things that a part of society, okay, let's talk about it very honestly, okay? Cabaret, female impersonation, gender bender type of performances have always been reserved for a circus, for a late night burlesque kind of cabaret in Germany or in Europe, or it's always associated with an adult-only audience. We have never, in all of the movies that you've ever seen, all of human history, have we ever considered a man, I mean, let's be honest, back in Shakespearean time, females were not allowed on the stage. And so men were always portrayed as they were acting in the female role, right? Back in early Europe, or early England, and then all over Europe, it was illegal for a female to go on stage. She could not perform in public. And so I think that is where the whole portraying of the opposite sex that they are, that's where it needs to stay. Okay? It is an art form. It is a form for them to get up and to entertain an adult audience. So the law that Governor Abbott is trying to enact, the SB 12, is to say that if these type of performers that know there are going to be minors in their audience, or know that a formidable mind that is not accompanied by their guardian or their parent might be exposed to their show just simply because of the venue that they're trying to perform in, that should be considered against the law. The question of this YouTube video is, do you agree with that? Do you agree that, just hypothetically, I don't have children because I'm asexual, but if I had children and I had just say I had a 7-year-old and a 12-year-old boy and girl, and my 12-year-old boy came home and told me, hey, I had my little sister down at the local market and there just happened to be a drag show there. Would I be okay with that? The answer is no. Because number one, I don't expect that any parent would think it would be okay that if you sent your 12-year-old with his younger sibling or her younger sibling down to the local market to pick up bread and vegetables for the house, that they would be exposed to something that you would not allow them to look at home on their YouTube channels, on their internet. You would not have movies, or would not allow them to watch movies that have that type of subject matter in them. So why should you have to be on guard that there may be a drag show going on down at the local market where you're sending your kids to get a soda pop and a piece of candy? That's what Governor Abbott and in the 4 other states where governors are trying to enact the same laws are trying to say. They're trying to say this is an unrealistic expectation for parents to have to be on guard that their children at a formidable age might be exposed to something in public that is rated R or that is considered inappropriate for minors. Okay? So we're 12 minutes into the video, but that's going to be where I'm going to leave it today on Wednesday. So on Wednesday, today's the 28th, so we're going to put 28 on our calendar. And we're going to say the subject matter for today was, do parents of minors have the right to peace of mind that their kids will not be exposed. Kids will not be directly or indirectly exposed to adult entertainment. So the question is, let me do it all in black because that doesn't show up very well. Do parents of minors have the constitutional right to peace of mind that their children, their kids, will not be exposed. So here's the question for today on this subject matter. do parents of minors have the constitutional right to peace of mind that their kids will not be directly or indirectly exposed to adult entertainment without their consent? I mean, obviously they would go without their consent, but we'll just add that. And the reason I add without consent is because some parents don't care. Obviously, some parents don't care because this wouldn't even be a law that Governor Abbott and the other 4 states would have to be proposing in the legislature if parents were all on board that they don't want their children exposed indirectly or directly to adult entertainment with or without their knowledge. Well, without their knowledge, because obviously with their knowledge they wouldn't allow their children to see it. So I believe, for one, that since I don't have children, I don't really have an opinion one way or the other, but if I did have children, I would not want drag performances to be a public thing that they could walk upon. Like, for instance, there was a march today or this weekend down on the San Antonio boardwalk, and it was like a mock parade because the law had been overturned. If you were down there today at lunchtime with your children having lunch to celebrate their straight A report card for the first part of school or whatever, your kids would have been exposed. Your kids would have seen that. And they're saying that's okay. The LGBTQIA community, which I want the A and the I taken off of there, it's LGBTQ, that's all it is. Because intersex and asexuals did not elect or decide to be a part of that group. They were just lumped in there. Secondly, that's going to be another subject in this series is agnostics. Why we're agnostic, which are people who do believe in a higher power, that do believe that there is something greater than them and than any other human or life form, that initiated or started the process of all things that are living, or all things that are. They just don't know what it is. And that's called agnostic. Who made the decision to put all of those people as a part of the atheist society? Why was that decision made? Who made that decision? How can you put people who say, I believe in a God, I believe that there is a higher power of some sort that put everything into place. I just haven't gotten enough information on it, or I haven't seen enough information on it to make a decision as to which religious belief is correct. How do you put those in with people who say, I don't believe there's nothing. I don't believe there's nothing higher than us. There's no supernatural or entity type thing that initiated all life as we know it. How do you put those two people in the same category? Well, they are. Because in the year 2021, when they did the census, they decided to lump everybody that's not of a known religious practice into atheists, and to put them as part of the atheist organization, society. These are the little things that are happening behind our backs, or without our knowledge, that have a huge impact on our futures as a human species, as one humankind, that have a huge impact on the future and future events. And a lot of people don't understand that these are the type of issues that people need to be talking about. People need to be talking about, why are they putting people who do have some belief of a higher power, believe that there is a God or something that is greater than all things? Those people are closer to being religious and closer to being in a Christian, Buddhist, some type of religious belief. Hinduism, Christianity, Judea, Islam. They're closer to being in one of those religious groups than they are to being an atheist. So why did we decide to push them all over into the atheist society? And say agnostic and atheist are now part of the same group. Who made that decision? So those are the questions that I proposed tonight on my channel, and I hope that people will engage, and maybe it will give them content for their channels and talk about these two subjects. And it's Jeff East saying peace out, and we'll see y'all tomorrow or on the next video. God bless everyone. If you don't believe in God and you believe in a higher power, then your higher power bless you and manifest positive energies for any and all people, that they get better and that life is good for them.